Hey gang, happy Thursday. It's Leanne here. So I've been getting a question about what kind of nutritional philosophy do I believe in or promote with my programs, including the program called Level Up, which is customized macros and metcons for women ages 30 plus who want to work on building the muscle mass. So my philosophy is moderation, and I've been talking about that. And throughout this week, we've been focusing on doing tutorials, on giving you mini trainings on various topics within the nutrition field. But what does moderation mean? I know it's something that's been, talked about in recent times in terms of this undiet culture and eating everything in moderation. But people believe that it's very difficult to eat and exercise in moderation. Don't do too much. Also, don't do too little. Allow yourself to have your indulgences to keep your cravings in check. Make sure you get to rest. Don't overdo it, and make sure I need a rest day isn't just an excuse. So what does that even mean? What does moderation even mean? So today's mini training is going to kind of give you my thoughts on when I work with my female clients on what I focus on in terms of moderation with their exercise and eating lifestyle, and how that is different for everybody, like body, B-O-D-Y. So moderation is the exact opposite of black and white thinking. It's the exact opposite of extreme. It's sort of in that gray area, and that's what people can't wrap their head around when it's in like this. When I say eat and exercise in moderation, people feel like because it's in this sort of gray area that it is not going to work, or because people seek out clear guidelines, specific rules, they get stuck in this all or nothing mentality, and moderation is the exact opposite of that. So basically what I first teach my female clients is that doing exercise and eating in moderation is going to, in this gray area, there's gonna be a level of discomfort, especially if they came from this all or nothing mentality. And what I really focus on having them examine is, do they really, this all or nothing mentality, has that worked for them long term? Has that been sustainable for them long term? And most of the time it's not. It has worked for them short term. So I really ask them that, with their all or nothing approach, is that, do they really want to be following something forever? Do they really want to be following that exercise and food regimen forever? And rather, shouldn't the goal be something that's more consistent and out of habit, that happens naturally, like organically, so that you're able to pivot and enjoy situational experiences or food experiences without having to always resort to this, well, I can't do this because I can't get this workout in, or I can't go there because they don't have this specific thing on my meal plan. So basically, working on eating and exercising in moderation in the gray area is uncomfortable, but it eventually will become a habit. And so, it takes years for people to kind of really focus on coming from an all or nothing diet mentality and weaving themselves into a pattern where they can just eat effortlessly without moderation and without over-analyzing everything. So if you're stuck in this all or nothing trap, but you are hoping or seeking out to like move toward or navigate toward a more moderation type based lifestyle, whether it be exercise, food, or both, then I'm going to give you a couple of ideas. The first one is looking at your relationship with food and fitness. And again, this week I am doing a private live training for my June Level Up group. And the topic that we're on this week is examining their relationships, their past relationships, specifically around food. Because usually when we have this all or nothing mentality, whether it comes with exercise or food, it comes from past experiences. Whether you grew up in a household where maybe mom or dad, like myself, they were always constantly, my mom was always constantly worried about her weight, and I was worried about my weight. And so, but the other extreme of that, my mom also came from a don't ever waste your food, so clean your plate. So all of those things, had shaped my relationship with food as I started to go into adulthood. So examining your relationship, that's where it starts with this not so healthy like food and fitness exercise. If we look at our past relationship, and before we can even get to this practicing moderation, we have to first figure out how would we go about doing that, shifting our mindset around eating, if we at first don't kind of like take a look at where those behaviors came from. And then with that, being patient, knowing that, it took you so long to get to this point, that reversing it and slowly being comfortable in eating with moderation and exercising in moderation requires patience. So look at it from the point of, how would you treat your important relationships in your life? You would treat those relationships that you care about with respect, with patience, and with kindness. And in turn, I ask my clients to go ahead and also treat themselves during this process with the respect, patience, and kindness that their own bodies deserve. So the second tip for practicing moderation with fitness and food is just practice. You're not gonna wake up one day and then be like, reach that level of enlightenment and be like, whoa, eating, I'm gonna eat in moderation today, and it's effortless and everything's la. And no, effortless actually requires effort, right? Isn't that a great, I read during one of my trainings, the gal had wrote that effortless requires effort. And I really thought about that, and I'm like, oh, that's so true. I think we think initially that if it's effortless, it requires no effort, but it's exact opposite. Effortless too does require effort. So the second exercise when I work with a client is to have them, after we kind of talk about and navigate their past food and fitness experiences from whatever, childhood or maybe not childhood, we go and look at what does moderation look like for that specific person. So again, everybody's so different, but I ask my clients specifically, what does moderation look like to you? So whether some people, it all depends, right? Some people who are very stuck in an all or nothing, moderation might look for them where one meal, they do not log their food for one meal a day. I mean, it could be as simple as that, where just one meal per day, they start with not logging their food in an app or a journal, to help kind of transition them away from this really strict mode of calculating or obsessing about every morsel of food that they eat. So again, it's just examining that question, what does moderation look like for you? Does it look like not logging one day? Does it look like having a free food meal once a week? Does it look like just having some cream in your coffee? Again, this is all different. It's never forget though that it's not perfect. We're not perfect beings. You're gonna mess up. We're gonna revert back to our old ways because that feels comfortable. Those ways feel safe. And don't beat yourself up for it, because instead of giving up, we're just gonna use these setbacks as an opportunity to understand, why is this happening, or why did I revert back to this old behavior? Like, what was I feeling? Examining all those things and then using that as leverage for the next time. This is why it's so important, where some people, a lot of my friends and even family members, they feel like, oh, who pays you to tell them to exercise and eat right? That's crazy. Like, just do it on your own. Just do it on your own. And it's easier said than done. But this is one of the benefits of working with a real life coach, because you can really build this solid relationship of safety and security with your coach, in terms of to be able to help you navigate through this process, to help you kind of talk off the ledge. I mean, I myself also have coaches. I've spent a long time having coaches. And that always helps me to be able to talk with somebody and have that, not for me necessarily accountability. For me, having a coach is talking me off the ledge, because I tend to be all or nothing and go more towards the extreme of all the time, restrict all the time, exercise all the time, eat less all the time. And having a coach to kind of provide this second kind of point of view and rationalization to help you realize that Leanne, you're getting stuck back in that old behavior. You're reverting back to all or nothing. Sometimes we get such funnel vision or tunnel vision that we can't see our way out of it. So that is why if you are struggling, hiring a coach is a great way to help you push through. The third tip on working on moderation with food and fitness is just, again, throwing around this word that's just like a big buzzword right now, being mindful and present. I know it sounds like woo-ha or whatever, but mindful is not something that has to be super complicated, and it's not something you have to do every time before you eat food. It's just that if you have a tough time practicing moderation, especially with food, the first thing I can tell you is just slow down when you're eating. We're such in a rush, on the go, gadget driven society that we rarely take the time to really sit down, enjoy what you're eating, enjoy each bite, putting down your fork for a second, engaging in conversation, not staying on your phone while you're eating or watching TV. I myself am guilty of that. I'm a big eat my food and watch TV person. If you know me personally, I love TV. I really believe like I was probably a TV boob tube child, because I have this really like weird, I don't know what the word would be, weird attachment to my TV. So like when the cable's out, I notice I get really grumpy. So I'm trying to work on that. I have a lot of peeves that I'm working on for myself. But so yeah, just tasting the food and not just scarfing it down, and just kind of sitting with it and kind of checking in. In one of my trainings, I talk about this formula called HEC, Hack and Check. Something that Dr. Keone Tita and Jay Tita wrote about in their book Lose Weight Here, which is based on like hormonal cycling, and sort of all this preface that everything in moderation, that the diet culture of eat less, exercise more has kind of like done our hormones in if we fall in victim to this kind of diet mentality. So it's just amazing that when we just sit down and be a little bit more mindful and present, how much more satisfaction and fullness we experience. And we do this check-in with our body, which again, going back into that keeping your heck in check. And I have it on my other episodes. It's called HEC, Keeping Your Heck in Check. And that was a formula that Dr. Tita had developed that I felt is really helpful. Because he explains how it's all tied in, your hunger, your energy, and your cravings. And when any of those are off balance, everything gets off balance. So check in with your body is the third tip with being mindful and present. Are you recovering well, right, from your workouts? Are you progressing with your gains or your performance in the gym or at your home workouts or during whatever sports or activities, physical activities that you are currently doing? Or are you the opposite? Are you feeling super sore all the time? Do you feel like you're plateauing, your strength's not building, your times are getting worse, or your body's always constantly aching? So what you might end up finding out, and which is what a lot of my ladies realize, which blows their mind after a while, after about like a 3-month process of working with each other, they actually realize that they have to do less in order to progress and recover more, right? And so that's kind of contradicting too, when we think, no, to be faster, to be leaner, we have to do more, we have to eat less. And it's not. It's, again, this delicate balance with our heck, our hunger, energy, cravings, your hormones, and that if you come from a really extreme exercise and eating regimen, then you probably have to back off, and you actually need less in order to progress more. So think about that. So something you can do right now on your own, if you're struggling with some of the things that I've talked about, do this exercise. Define what moderation looks like for you, right? Just journal it down. And again, that's no judgment. It's just free journaling. Write it down on your phone in the Notes app or whatever comes to mind. What I like to do is, even if words don't make sense off the top of my head, I just kind of jot them down. But again, ask yourself that. Define what moderation looks like for you. And again, you can't expect yourself to be able to do anything until you at least somewhat have this, define what this gray area of moderation looks like for yourself. You're gonna have to like start with somewhere. And again, it doesn't have to be a huge step. It can be like baby steps. I always tell my ladies, forward progress, not perfection. And again, that is also something that requires effort and daily practice. So I hope this was helpful, gang. I am starting to enroll, taking people on my wait list, women ages 30 plus, in my program Level Up for July. I've been posting about it and talking about it on why it's different. Every month we kind of include a different area to focus on. So in July, we're going to really hone in on the nutritional aspect, the moderation aspect with eating, and also being able to work with a small but intimate group of women as a support, as well as having access to me one-on-one with a real live person to help you kind of navigate and pivot through the daily struggles. Because I've been there, I am in it. It's just constantly work in progress. But have a great Thursday, gang. Hope you are staying healthy and safe. And if this was helpful, if you could do me a favor and shoot me a comment below. If you have any questions, message me. And again, if you know of anyone who would benefit from working with me in our July program, it's a self-paced do-it-yourself program, but again, it's all customized after you fill out your registration form and we talk and we develop something that is totally accessible for you, that is not a cookie cutter one size fits all. Yeah, it's going to be based upon your access, your availability, and your ability. All right, have a great day, guys. Thanks for staying tuned. Bye.